Hey, what's going on, guys? Bflattened here with a brand new video today. Today we're going to be talking about the Balands mod, which is a overhaul mod that has 1,000+ changes at minimum to the base game of Borderlands 3. So I wanted to say that this is a true overhaul, and the reason why I want to say it's a true overhaul is because, by definition, an overhaul is supposed to take what the game is already good at, and it's supposed to expand on it further, whether you're going to be doing nerfs, buffs, or changes. And that's exactly what this mod does if you're looking for something like that. It takes the good things about like the unofficial community patch and it expands on it even further. I would go as far as to say that it is unofficial community patch 1.5. I'm already getting yelled at by the creator in here that it's actually pronounced like balance. So it's kind of like the balance of the game, but Balands, kind of a play on words. I like it. I'm really bad at pronouncing things though. So the one thing I want to mention first and foremost, now that I've mentioned Aaron already, Aaron is the person who has created the mod. Aaron and Quadruple Zero. You can find them on GitHub. The link is going to be in the description at the end of the video when I explain on how to download this mod. That's the really cool thing, is that there's been a lot of discussion about what should be changed, what should be staying, everything that is going to be keeping this as community driven as possible, and how everybody can openly get the best out of this mod. Before I get into the good, the bad, and the negative, just like I did in my last review, it was very difficult to find negatives in this because a lot of these changes are things that we've been asking for from Gearbox for a very long time. These are like things that just don't work anymore. Things that need a little bit of a change to lighten the game up a little bit, give us some fresh breath of air, fresh breath of air, breath of fresh air, that one. A lot of it is just a lot of fixes, so I'm really happy with this. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the good section, which is going to be the majority of the video. So I want to start off with Guardian Takedown, which I'm already in. Anathema, the very first boss, will not have an immunity phase per HP bar. You can actually take off half the HP bar, and that's when the immunity phase will trigger. This is different in the in terms of the vanilla game, where Anathema has like 12 immunity phases. This is cut down in half because of this change. So Scourge has all immunity phases, just like he would in the original vanilla game. However, the diadems have low damage versus Scourge. So every single time that you have the diadems running around you, you can actually like cheese to blow them up right beside Scourge, and he'll lose another HP bar, he'll reset. The fight's kind of boring that way. The diadem's damage was actually reduced by 75% because of this cheese. It makes it so that Scourge actually has a longer fight, and it makes it more worthwhile at the end. Speaking of the end of Scourge, the loot quality that it drops off of Scourge is immense. I know a big complaint that people had about Guardian Takedown was that the loot quality was not worth it. You go through a 20-30 minute trial, you get like 1 to 2 legendaries, one might be a skin, sometimes you get nothing. In this one, you get a lot of money drops. However, money drops, I would say, are redundant after you get all the SDUs. The Iridium has a really good amount to it. With the another thing that involves Iridium a little bit later on, you'll see why this is important. But Iridium drops a lot and is really good because Iridium is a very high quality and good resource to have. You can change your anoints this way, which is going to be overall affecting your build. And lastly, the loot that drops itself, the legendary loot, I got approximately 20 drops-ish. 6 of those were dedicated. So that gives approximately, with a scale up, about 1/3 of the drops are dedicated. The rest are world drops. This is a great change because this is again, a 25-30 minute time period without fail. And you need to be rewarded for it. I think that's what Scourge exactly does in this mod. It rewards you for it. I'm on Flak right now. Flak actually has a lot of changes to this mod, along with every other character, but I'm on Flak, so we might as well go through this. One of the things that I included in my Broken series is that Barbaric Yop does not work with your pet. So Barbaric Yop in this actually works with your pet that is your purple pet. It works with every other pet except for purple. In the mod, it works. So that means you will be able to get your shield damage, you will be able to get your elemental resistance, you can get your shield capacity with the bull loader, for example. That will all pass over. In vanilla, it does not. That's just completely fixed. A lot of the purple skills are also fixed as well. Things like fuzzy math is fixed, and the viability of pet is incredible. The damage that pet can output, the hybrid that you can do if you fully dedicate to pet, this is all going to be fixed, viable, and the Mayhem scaling is going to be up for it as well. So as you can see, it is actually highlighted for skills that are actually scaled by Mayhem, and when you invest points into it, it actually tells you what the scaling is going to be outputting for you. So here it says action skill damage multiplied by 233.2%, and then it says the Mayhem level underneath it. If you are a math freak about that, it actually explains it all for you, where the vanilla cards do not. Next up, we're talking about Mayhem changes and things like that, so we're going to dive right into the Mayhem changes and scaling. There is a ton of changes for Mayhem and the scaling around it. This is going to overall change the difficulty of the game, and it makes it harder. So people like Moe's, for example, Vault Hunter like Moe's, a lot of times you can just dive into your Iron Bear and then just sweep the entire content while falling asleep. You can't really do that anymore. A lot of the changes happened, made it so that every Vault Hunter were kind of more so on par. And it's kind of difficult to find one Vault Hunter that like supersedes the rest, like it would be, you know, Moe's to Amara, for example. The Mayhem scaling does a huge difference, and it actually changes the difficulty a lot. I got surprised by a few times, even with Wotan. While we're talking Mayhem stuff, the modifiers in here. So there's actually a new modifier called Mayhem. You can roll this in not only Mayhem 11, you can actually roll it in your Mayhem 10 as well. It is actually a modifier that you can see there. It actually shows up as none. That one will just completely replace it. It does not happen. Nothing crazy here. Shoot and loot without the extra bells and whistles. It is really, really, really nice. So I wanted to mention a few QOL stuff, because there's a lot of major changes, but there's also a lot of changes that are smaller, but you appreciate the smaller things when it comes to this sort of stuff once it actually happens in front of you. Fast opening chests is a big one. Whenever you open up a chest, it opens up really, really quickly. That way you don't have to delay and wait for it. How many times have you seen the animation slowly appear in front of you? It happens really, really quickly. It's nice. There's also the better odds at getting rare gear. So for example, the Boomsicle. The Boomsicle is a version that drops on the sickle itself. The boom part is actually splash damage, and it also changes up how the damage is going to be going into your sickle. It does things like shotgun damage, and it also does things like splash damage. 40% of sickles are boomsicles now, as Aaron just told me in the Twitch chat as we're doing this live. So that is going to be a major increase from what it is normally. If we take it all mathematically from what it actually is, if you're looking for a specific elemental boomsicle with the boom part, you're looking at about 1%. It is a very rare chance to get, especially if you're looking for a certain element on it. It being increased to 40% gives you more chances at getting that roll, so you can actually use your boomsicle and ideally get one of the element that you need. There's a huge global gear balance, so things that are underperforming actually get a huge buff. Things that are overperforming get a huge nerf. So if there are some items that you go otherwise puke at, like say the lovable rogue, for example, or anything that you would normally pass over, give it a whirl. Give it a try. You never know. It might have actually got buffed. You have no idea. Speaking of things that got hit hard, look at the plasma coil at level 72. This thing is very hold down the trigger, aimbot, autopilot, that sort of thing. It will just completely melt on normal game. Here, not so much. Another one, for example, is a Revolter. The shock damage of the Revolter got decreased from 200% down to 25%. So it's still a viable shield, and you still get damage out of it. However, you're not going to be deleting and erasing everything in one hit like you normally would. Another one that I was like yelled at to mention, so I'm going to mention this anyways. Common enemies do not have cryo on them. A lot of people don't like getting shot by a random cryo bullet when they're in the middle of like a speed run or getting just anything. Jump in a gap. A random cryo bullet will hit you, you'll slow down to grandma speed, and you won't actually be able to move at all. Common enemies don't have those anymore. That's got removed. It's another QOL change that a lot of people would be happy with. And another one that I wanted to mention in the goods is loot quality changes. So there are some things that actually perform really well, and they deserve a little bit of an increase. So the hunted rifles actually got upgraded to legendary. They are no longer blues, and the Revengeinator, the blue shield, is actually a legendary as well. Finally, the last increase and change is that there's actually one artifact that is new. It is called the Knot. If you find the Knot, feel free to let me know, and make sure to let me know if you enjoy the Knot. Actually, I don't want to spoil what it does. I want you guys to go out and find it yourselves, because I don't want to ruin anything new. So I'll let you guys find it and let me know about it. Aaron says that it's mostly as a means of not ignoring them by mistake when they world drop. So they're easily passed over if they're not marked on the map for you, especially if they're blue, or you'll just take time looking through all the loot quality and stuff like that, and you never know if they're going to pass over it 100 times, especially when loot piles up on top of each other. You never know. So it's really nice that it doesn't get buried between everything else. Actually, which, now that you're here, I wanted to tell you something, and I'm going to tell you in the middle of the video as well, because it's another really good change. The Elementalist actually got a change as well, and I know how much you love the Elementalist. It got changed in the most recent patch of 1.3.6. Increased the damage of the Elementalist damage over time by 1,750%. I know a lot of people wanted the Elementalist to be changed, and a lot of people have been screaming for the Elementalist be fixed, do damage, things like that. The last patch did it. It's actually really, really, really nice. I wanted to jump over to neutrals while we were on this big good momentum. I know I probably convinced a lot of you already, but we're going to go ahead and jump to the neutral. Normal and true trials have no difference in loot quality. So I'm neutral on this because I've already suggested them to be higher, and it looks like Aaron's already interested in taking a peek at it to see if they can be changed. Normal and true trials are both at a 500% increase. I think that true trials myself personally should be increased higher because they're a lot more difficult. Even if all of them aren't increased, Trials of Fervor should be increased a little bit further, because Fervor is a more difficult boss than any other of the true trials. It has approximately 4 to 5 billion HP more than any other true trial boss. It should have a little bit more of a increase and reward for that. It's a tough boss. You're going to be standing there and you're going to be emptying your guns for 20 minutes, half an hour if you don't have a solid, good build. So I think you should be rewarded for that a little bit more. That's just me personally. I'm only putting this in the bad section because this is a only thing that happened to me apparently and nobody else. That's where I need you guys to come in. Let me know if Arms Race seems a little bit like, if it seems messed up to you, because it was messed up for me. The Arms Race health scaling, nobody else had trouble with it, only I had trouble with it. It would take me 4 or 5 clips just to be able to pelt into an enemy, common enemy by the way, not even badass, and I would rarely scratch it. It seemed like the health scaling for me personally was really, really high. However, Aaron sent me a temporary mod to try to see if it could be fixed. It basically removed the health scaling entirely and everything was back to normal. Nobody else had this problem, even though we were asking around and testing it a little bit. If you have problems with it, by all means toss it in the comment section. I'm sure Aaron will either take a look or I'll be more than happy to toss it over. Let me know what you guys find. That's probably going to do it for all my goods, neutrals, and bads. Again, neutral or good, sorry, took like 90% of the slots. There's so many other things that I have not even mentioned yet. There's going to be the full list of the patches that are going to be in the description. This mod is still getting actively updated, so if you have any suggestions, feel free to throw them in the comments as well. There is another patch that's also being planned. I don't want to spoil that too much because I don't want to ruin that for Aaron, but this mod is still being actively updated as we speak, so feel free to download it. The way that you can is that the GitHub is going to be linked in the description, like I mentioned. If you need any assistance on how to download it, Shadow Evil actually has a really great video on how to download mods. From Dark Hell is also a really good resource as well. I wanted to thank Aaron for watching the majority of the playthrough. He actually found me on Twitch in the middle of the playthrough, just playing Balands and messing around with it. It was a lot of fun. I played about 9 or 10 days of it. I did one of everything, and I rather enjoyed it. I have to give a rating for it, and the rating that I'm going to be walking away with this is going to be a solid 9. I said it was going to be floating between like a low 7 or a high 7, probably an 8, but maybe a 9. Looking at this list and seeing that I've only listed like maybe 10 things out of the 1,000 plus that has been, you know, already included, and it's already getting actively updated, and also Aaron is receiving feedback actively from, you know, people like myself and other people who have played it. That gives a solid 9 in my books. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, this is what a true overhaul is. It takes everything that's good about the game, it updates it, it nerfs the things that need to be nerfed, it makes everything that's, you know, not performing perform again, and it also does fixes all at the same time. The QOL is solid. There's, yeah, I can't believe how good this mod actually is. I really enjoy it. I would give it a whirl if I were you guys. If you enjoyed Borderlands 3 to its core, this would be a great send-off before Wonderlands. I would give it a whirl, give it a suggestion. You have a couple weeks to do so. Feel free to give it a shot. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I think that's all from me. My name is Bflattened. I'm signing on out of here. Take care, all. Laters.